What's up, Cole? Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, my man. I know it's been a while. I always feel like I know what you're up to through Instagram. But yeah, we don't talk nearly enough, man. But you were just in San Diego and didn't hit me up, so
I
we
know it
can.
was like a 2-day trip, man, with the girlfriend's family, so I had to kind of go in there, get out of there.
That checks out. I know my wife was like, "I saw Greg was here. Did he hit you up?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I think he's
2-day
mad at me."
trip. Yeah, next time, I promise.
You're good, man. But yeah,
So,
I'm excited to chat.
yeah, man. Well, it's always good to catch up, and I mean, I went to your event. I think that was in February this year. You invited me out to
That's
your
sweet.
mastermind in Utah. I had a great time. Thanks for the invite, by the way. That was awesome. It was good meeting you and your clients and just a lot of like-minded people. That was my first like mastermind I went to in years because I just kind of was not tired of them, but I used to be in like this really, really big one where there was like 150, 200 people. And I just got tired of that stuff. But when you had yours in your Airbnb, it was just like we're a bunch of bros jamming, talking about business. And, you really have your finger on the pulse on what's working from a business model standpoint. You have a lot of clients with easy buttons. So, I mean, it's 2025. The market has gone up and down, and interest rates have fluctuated. And, a lot of people come into the business, get out of the business. And what are you seeing today that people are having the most success with from a business model standpoint?
I'll kind of start from the ground up. I think the whole fear thing around real estate, I've heard probably since 2020 when the market kind of got weird for a little while. If you remember during COVID, and I feel like since COVID at 2020 when that kicked off to today, every about 6 months, all the same people online are like, "Oh my goodness, it's '08 happening again." And it's funny. I was talking to my good buddy, who's in your market now, James, Big Jimmy up there, and he was telling just the amount of stuff he's buying on market because how scared people are right now to do a deal. And I
Yeah.
think if you're planning on being in real estate as a career long term, which I think is the psychology you have to be in, you're not trying to get rich quick. You're gonna see the same market cycles probably 20 times throughout your career because real estate's cyclical. We're never gonna be up all the time. We're never gonna be flat all the time. We're never gonna be down all the time. But we will go through all three of those over and over and over again. And even in some markets, in some pockets, you go through it 4 times in a year. Like, that's the reality.
Yeah.
Like, right now in San Diego, nationwide in June, home sales were down 13%. Sorry, in May, home sales are down 13% after 12% in April. But in San Diego, they're up 5%. And so I think that's you have to be very understanding of the macro and micro situation. But number one is like the people that aren't scared to do a deal are still doing deals. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean do stupid deals. That does mean negotiate lower, be realistic on your comparables and be smart. But if you're planning on being in this business for a career, I always say like you have maintenance years and you have like gold rush years. Your maintenance years, like right now, yeah, you'll make good money, you'll still enjoy business, you'll have good months. But then when you're set up and you're in business and you get one of those gold rush years where it's end of 2020 when they started printing money,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I believe interest rates get back in the mid or low fives here in the next 12 to 24 months, hopefully sooner, we're going to be in another gold rush because there's so much pent up seller demand and a lot of those onesie twosie buyers that are sitting on the sidelines as well that bid up property values that just can't or won't mentally swap for 6-7% note.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's people that want to do deals. They're actively in the business, trying to do deals, make money. They're in maintenance mode. Like, yeah, I don't know many people that are gonna double their net worth in this year or last year or next year, like you will on a gold rush year or gold rush season. But if you're consistently marketing, you're trying to get better at sales and talking to sellers. You don't have a big ego. You're not afraid to do deals, and you don't have a massive overhead, a big machine. That's one thing that I've found, and I've built that. And in real estate, unless you genuinely like, if you're okay making $1 million a year net take home income, you don't need a big team. If you want to make $5 million a year net take home income, yeah, you're gonna have to build an office and a team and a lot of overhead. But if you're out there and you're like, oh, I would be happy my whole life making $1 million a year, which again, no matter what you see online, 99.9% of the world isn't making that. But I mean, truly post tax netting $1 million, if you haven't gotten there, you don't have any business trying to build this huge operation with all this overhead. So that'd be the last thing I'd point out is it doesn't mean don't do it if that's what you feel called to.
Yeah.
But you can make a lot of money being lean, being mean, being profitable, and controlling your business without a ton of risk.
Dude, that's so well said because I've seen guys come and go in this business. You've been doing this. When did you start? 2016?
Yeah, into 2016, early 2017. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
going on 9, 10 years.
yeah. So basically the same length as me, right? And you're 3 years younger than me. So, we've been doing this practically the same time. And I've seen guys come into this business, try to scale up a wholesaling shop, and they're riding off of a good market, like what means that they were in a low interest rate environment. They were selling to hedge funds for 110% of what the houses are worth. And the second the rates went down and those hedge funds stopped buying, they went
Got
literally out of business overnight because they
100%.
didn't have a real model.
I had spoken at an event and, I talked about it was like 2020, like ended like 2021, like perfect time. Everyone thought you could sell to hedge funds forever. You don't
Yeah.
have to do much. You could buy a house, wait 6 months and make 75 grand, right? And I went through my thesis of like, no, I think disposition should not be on Investor Lift. No hate on Investor Lift. It should not be on Facebook groups. It should be personalized and exclusive to buyers who are going to be in business no matter what market cycle because it's going to change.
Yeah.
And then when it changed, all those same people are like, "Oh, no, you're missing money on deals, couldn't sell a deal." And so you make if you guys are in real estate, build a business that you don't have to change dependent on market cycle. Like, work with real buyers that are doing deals no matter what market cycle you're in. Work with people who do what they say they're gonna do. We were talking about reputations and how many slimy characters there are in this business, right? Like,
Especially in Seattle.
that's and every industry is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
when you really, get down to it, but it's just a cesspool of people who are trying to get rich quick. And like Greg said, if you can be in this and go, "Hey, I'm okay getting rich slow for 20 years and enjoying it along the way," it'll be a way a way better experience. And all reality is like, dude, gold Paul is gonna move anyways. Like most people like want $1 million net worth. You
Yeah.
give them to it tomorrow, and they would wake up tomorrow and feel the exact same way. Like, honestly, paper equity means dog shit. Like it doesn't matter.
Well, it's funny you say that because this year, I think I have like 11 rentals and they're all in good areas in New York and there's equity in them. But I've lost $40,000 in cash this year just in rentals from vacancies, evictions, turns, capital improvements. I've lost
Hey,
$40,000.
it's passive income, bro.
No, and it's the opposite. Me and Lena are working all day getting these rental properties, banged out. So even though the properties have gone up this year, I've lost $40,000. So if I didn't have my actual flipping business that makes the money, I'd have been fucked with those rentals. So yeah, I agree with you, dude. I mean, and especially too, I think new investors, if until you have like $250,000 of income that's consistent and repeatable, you shouldn't even touch your fucking rental property, dude. Those things are legitimate liabilities. Like you will burn through rental property cash quicker than you will like Google ad money because there's always something coming up. They're not really meant for cash flow, at least in the beginning. Like after you pay them down and pay them off, sure.
Yeah.
But while you're doing that, you're also putting money into these things. So they're just like long-term retirement accounts, honestly. And then
Well,
usually you make the money when they sell them.
and everyone's like, they become your bank, and I'm like, yeah, but most people that have rentals, like, eventually are taking out HELOCs at really high interest rates, or they're selling them when they get into pickle. It's a
Okay.
so I mean, my take on rentals is like, I think real estate's an amazing way to compound and preserve wealth. Like, I think if you're making so much money in your business and you want to protect it and preserve it and amplify it long term, buy some rentals, but only if you have the active income for everything to go wrong. Your
That's
roof
right.
implodes. Like, I remember when I was like 19 and I'd started making some money, 2020, making some money. And me and a buddy went and bought a ton of duplexes in Cleveland, Ohio. Like, dude, we're gonna get rich
Oh my
on these like
God.
$100,000 duplexes near the hospital in Cleveland. It was a thought out plan. It wasn't Section 8. We had like traveling nurses and decent tenants. But
Okay.
then it gets so cold in Cleveland. We're like, yeah, we have 20 grand in our operating account after a year and a half of owning these rentals.
Yeah.
And one pipe burst in one of them, and you're out 27 grand.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Had that happen.
yeah, mine is like being in, San Diego or Seattle, where you're in their appreciation beasts. If you
Yeah.
can control an asset for a decade
Yeah.
in a core Seattle County and San Diego, and you can own it, live in it, do whatever with it, and break even cash flow wise, and you can own it for 10 years, yeah, then in an appreciation monster market, you can build a lot of wealth in 1031 or take your 500 grand or 250K tax free, depending if you're married or single. But if you're in Oklahoma trying to get rich off rental properties, good luck.
It's not gonna work. And that especially now with, like, how the rates are and just prices in general. Like, I remember listening to Bigger Pockets in, like, 2014 and 15, and it was like you could literally buy a property for 35 grand and it would rent for $900 a month, And, like, that would kinda make sense, but that doesn't exist anymore. Like, you're never gonna find that again. So, like, the market's changed and, everything's just gotten more expensive. So, I look at rentals just as like a wealth kind of slow building tool like you described, because I think on paper, if all those rentals made so I did the math actually. If every property I have is rented with the mortgage and all the other bullshit, before expenses, like before like the handyman comes in, it's 4,000 a month, right? But when you take that into account, that's at least a grand a month minimum. So we're really talking 3,000 a month, and it's a giant headache. So like people need to understand, like, is all that worth 3,000 a month? Because you can make one wholesale deal and make, 20,000, and yeah, you're going to pay tax on that, but still, even if you walk with 15, like that's way better to build your wealth than these shitty rentals that don't make any sense.
Unless you're, the guys that do make money, like if you're in the rental game to build your skills of operation and value add, and you're gonna trade up into an 8 unit, and a 12 unit, a 20 unit,
Yeah.
30 unit over the years, great. Don't do it too quick. I mean, I know at least 5 buddies personally that I've had a relationship with that are unintentionally or intentionally screwing over investors for
Oof.
floating rate debt, 16 unit buildings they raised money from in
Holy shit.
2022, right? Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of that happening. You guys, there's no trophy for trying to get rich quick. Doesn't mean work your ass off and work as fast as you can, but there's no one waiting with a trophy for you. That's what you have to realize. Like, your high school friends don't give a shit what you're doing. Like, no one thinks you're cool because you're in real estate, except for you and this idea you have in your head. And maybe people do, maybe people don't, but you have to operate through that mindset. Otherwise, you just get so caught up in the bullshit. The next loudest guy on Instagram that's yelling at you, who's going to be a flash in the pan, is going to be gone in 12 months. And I've seen, how many people have you seen come and go in the education
Oh my
space?
God, dude.
25 that I can name that were big in the space, got loud on social media, and then disappeared. Well, like, every time I see someone says, "Oh, what about this guy?" I said, "Ask me in 2 years." Right?
Yeah,
He'll be
right.
selling e-commerce stores. He'll be fucking a
Yeah.
crypto guru expert.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. And that I've noticed people will get into real estate and then they'll have a little bit of success. Like maybe they'll make 500 a year in gross revenue and then they'll start teaching people, but they really don't know how to do it above the ability of 500 grand a year gross, which is better than someone making no money. But then people who eventually get past their mentor, they listen to their mentor who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then they're all like confused and they think they got to scale. And I just think that real estate is what you want it to be. And you made a good point being like, nobody cares really. Like, so if you like the typical avatar, I'm sure you see this, is like someone has a job, they're making 85 grand a year. They want to replace their income with real estate income. So let's say they want to make 150 a year net, which is practically double what they have at their job. And they want to have some control over their time. Like, that's not that difficult to do if you put the work in for 1 to 3 years, right?
Yeah, but
But
I also think, like, I think we're skewed because we've been in business of, like, if you look at the math, the amount of businesses that get to $1 million a year, I think it's like 1.4 out of 100. So, yeah,
shit,
it's insane. The
damn.
amount of businesses that get to $10 million a year is like 1 out of 10,000. It's insane.
Holy
Yeah, it's
shit.
like you take the graduating class from all the high schools in your county, combine them, one of those people will start a business that does $10 million a year. And
Damn.
so I think, when we're running a business, we get a little skewed on, like, what reality is, because it is hard even to run a business that pays you 200 grand a year profit. It's extremely
Fucking
challenging.
hard as hell. Yeah.
On paper, it's pretty simple, right? Like, you don't need to do that many deals. You don't need that big a team. So if you have some operational experience, it's the simplest way to go. But yeah, most people I meet are, they're working a W-2, they're working a sales job, they're working corporate finance, they're working at a bank, and they just want to make, 100, 200 grand a year, have control over the time.
Yeah.
And the problem is they get on this carousel where they spend 80 grand on courses in 6 months and have nothing left to actually do what matters.
Yeah, exactly, and then they listen to all the vendors that the guru recommends, and they're getting, like, ripped off on half of their marketing and stuff. They're paying, like, 85 cents for a postcard. It's, like, just, like, stupid shit where I'm like, "Dude, you coulda got that for 50 and sent out double the volume." Like, just, like, little things that someone can tweak if they, have the right, information. But, yeah, no, and that's the thing I realized maybe, like, a couple years ago. Like, I got the business to where it was, doing pretty well, but it wasn't, like, crushing it to, like, 5 million a year. But then I looked and I really saw like what some of these other bigger operators were like and what they were doing. And I kind of had an epiphany. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. Like, I don't want 10 employees. I don't want, all this wholesaling overhead. And like, I would talk to them and they'd be like, yeah, like I only netted like 300 grand, which is a lot of money. But if you did 4 million a year in gross and you netted 300 grand, you took a lot of risk for not a lot of reward and you had a lot of stress. And I just was like, I don't really want to do
Well,
that.
dude, my journey was, I started my first real estate business at 18 and did one deal, got a personally guaranteed office space, filled it with sales guys, and scaled it over a 2-year period to like $2.5 million
That's really impressive at that
in
age.
gross revenue. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing a lot of deals.
That's a lot of fucking deals, dude.
And had the transaction coordinator, had someone for dispo, we're in an office, had it all. And you know what the most I paid myself that year, we did $2.5 million in a single month. The most I paid myself in a month, guess,
I don't know, 40 grand?
$7,000.
7,000 bucks?
And that's a lot of people build themselves a prison, and I built
Yeah,
myself a prison.
yeah,
And you know what a prison leads to? It leads to divorce, suicide, burnout, addiction, mental health issues, and the list goes on.
yeah,
Because you build yourself this machine where you have to wake up and feed the machine before you take a dollar.
yeah,
And so I tell everyone, build your dream business. You wanna travel 4 months a year? Great, build it. It's possible. I mean, I travel a lot, and a lot of people that travel a shit ton.
yeah,
You wanna work in an office 12 hours a day and do $10 million a year? Great, build it. But build your dream business so when you get there, like I did, we did almost 4 million top line the last year that I ran this psycho crazy, like, I'm gonna scale revenue as big as I can.
yeah.
We had a 6,000 square foot office in San Diego. I think did you see that
I've
office?
been there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know
We had a
exactly what you mean.
massive office. We had events and a big sales team and
Yeah,
yada, yada, yada. And you sit there at the end of the year and we made, $500,000 a year each, like, from that business, me and my co-founder. So, like, not nothing, but you're
yeah.
still like, "I didn't mean to build this." And, that's the number one question I think anyone can ask themselves is like, "What is my dream business?" And honestly, for a lot of people, your dream business and your dream life is much more achievable with a job than it is, being an entrepreneur.
And, like, I think a lot of people never make the decision to, like, turn it off, and then that's where they run into problems with their family, their kids, their spouse, like, whatever the case is, because it's 8:30 at night and they're fucking on the phone when it's like, well, yeah, you gotta build your business, but once you get to a point where you're established and you have money in the bank, like, it can wait till 9:30 the next fucking day, you freak, because
Yeah.
you're ultimately gonna screw yourself over while you're trying to build your business, so
There's a quote from Dan Martell who's blown up in the past 2 years where if you read his book, he built this software company and he was engaged. And he had done like 2 years of 18-hour days every single day. He came home, sold it, came home, and his fiancée had left. And he's like, oh, he called her, why'd you leave? She goes, oh, we're done. And he's like, why? I just sold the business. Like, we're rich. She goes, yeah, but I didn't ask for that. He's like, all I asked for is like you to hang out with me once in a while. So I think that's a conversation everyone has to figure out for themselves. And I also think if your life would genuinely not change if you made more money, what you do in your day to day, you're already as wealthy as you can get. Like for me, when I look at myself, like my day to day really wouldn't change. We travel enough. I have control over my calendar. I have a big enough company where I can be on or off. My days really would not change. You're much better off enjoying the process and the journey along the way.
yeah, no, I agree, buddy, and it's people don't realize, like, I remember when I was 23, I moved to San Diego, and my goal was to move to San Diego and have enough real estate money to be able to live there on my own, right? Because I was living with my parents before, and I got there, and I got the money, and I was the same exact person, and then I was like, "Well, fuck, now I'm in California, I don't know anybody, and now I'm just living in an apartment by myself making money." I don't know if my happiness really even changed. I just had a
Yeah.
new set of problems. So I think, yeah, it's just like your baseline of happiness. Like, obviously, when you can pay your bills and you're self-employed, it definitely adds value. But yeah, once you get to a certain point, it doesn't change. So to go into the tactical things now, like in 2025, you have a lot of clients that, you have the call center and you talk to a lot of investors. What is your take on this whole, like, virtual model where you're in, like, 75 fucking markets and you're running ads all everywhere versus, like, the local model? Because I know you have your opinions on that, and I'd be curious to see what you think about that.
I mean, I think it's just what you're solving for, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think it's just golden object syndrome
Mhm.
toned down into something that people accept easily.
Yep.
But in all reality, if you go into 3 markets and you haven't solved all the skill issues in your
Yep.
business, meaning you're not an amazing salesperson, you're not an amazing operator, you're not amazing at hiring and training people, you
Yep.
haven't maximized your own market. Trust me, you guys, if you're in a major metro of 1,000,000 plus people, and you're not doing $20 million a year, there's so many deals to go around. And you're amplifying your operational issues, your underwriting issues, your zoning issues, your buyer issues, your transaction coordination issues, around it. And every market has its own culture. Like Seattle has its own real estate culture. San Diego has its own real estate culture. New York has its own real estate culture. And you have to be in it and engaged to really learn the culture. You can do low-hanging fruit deals across the country and be in 17 different markets, but it'll never be more than low-hanging fruit, and you'll end
Yep.
up in the same place with more problems than the money makes it worth. So, I look at in real estate return on brain damage, I do not think the return on brain damage is there to be in more than 1 major market, which can be 4 or 5 counties, but one general area with the same buyers, the same zoning, the same regulations, the same culture. That is how you go deep and build wealth. All the guys that I know that built real wealth in real estate, other than the ones that did national syndication, they built their brand and their companies in one market and mastered it over The answer is not 5 years, it's over 30 years, really.
Yeah, yeah. What did you say? Return on brain damage?
Yeah.
I didn't see that in my Google Ads account this morning. 'Cause that's funny you say that, which brings up the next thing. It's like, I see a lot of investors chasing these like $10,000 assignment deals. The return on brain damage is negative 10,000, but yet they could kick those shit deals to the side and focus on at least a 30 or 40K deal, and then the return on brain damage isn't as bad. So that's
Mm.
something I tell a lot of like people if they hit me up. It's like, listen, the process to get a deal from A to B or from start to finish is similar, but then obviously there's a lot of variables that can make it complicated, sellers, buyers, people fucking you over. So if you're gonna make 30, 40 grand, your return on brain damage is always gonna be better. I mean, assuming it's not a 3-year deal, you know?
Anytime
Well,
I talk to someone that's doing they're in Arkansas doing 13, $10,000 deals a month,
yeah,
like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
it's such low leverage, right? Like, I put a post on this. I think everyone should be trying to create $30,000 of gross revenue for their business per deal. Then it can be a fun business, because you can do 2 deals a month, 1 deal a month, and make a lot of money. So, yeah, return on brain damage, ROBD, I talk about it with my team a lot, our clients a lot. It's everything you do in business has some level of brain damage. You wanna make sure what you're getting back for it is not gonna burn you out. Like, for me, like, if I went and did a flip right now in Seattle and I can make $175,000, or I can go do a flip in Eastern Washington and make $30,000, same process, still have to manage contractors, still have to do title and escrow twice, still have to raise money, the list goes on. What am I gonna walk away from like, "Oh, yeah, that was awesome." It's not gonna be the $30,000 right? So, I think we should all also be very weary of that because we only have so much bandwidth, and that's where burnout comes from, I think. It's not because of business, it's because you're not getting back out something that makes you excited.
I've been there, man. We actually, it's funny you say that. I'll give everyone a real example. So there was this house that came my way and I was planning to take it down and rehab it, which is normal, right? Normal house, oh, it's a big rehab. So I looked at the numbers and I'm like, okay, if everything goes well, which we had all the variables like baked into it, after about 6 to 7 months, probably a 150, 160K payday, like net. But then I got a call from this guy. This was random too. So this is a little bit of luck here. He's like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house in this area. And it happened to be where the house was. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is weird. Did I go to church last week or something?
I'm not a good
And
person.
I was like, listen, I got this deal. I wasn't planning to wholesale it, but if you want to give me like 310 for it, I'll take it off my hands. And I'm thinking this guy's going to say, go fuck yourself. There's no way I'm doing that. He took it at 310. So instead of making 160 in 6 to 9 months in New York with a bunch of red tape permit bullshit, made 100. So the return on brain damage there was like, 10,000 or whatever. It was a home run, right? But people don't think like that. They're like, oh no, I rehab houses. I'm gonna make this like they get emotionally involved in these
Right.
decisions and then they make the wrong decision and that's what leads to burnout.
It's like the conversation between,
Yeah.
flipping and developing.
Yeah.
And because you can make good money as an agent, you can make better money wholesaling, you can make better money flipping, and even better money developing. But the question is like, again, it's return on brain damage. When you're doing a new construction deal, you're managing a job site for 12 to 18 months from purchase to exit. When you're doing a flip, you're managing a job site for 0 to 6 months, sometimes a lot more. When you're doing a wholesale, you're managing a deal for 30 to 90 days. You're
Yeah.
doing a retail deal, you're managing a deal for 30 to 90 days, right? So
Yeah.
you have to find your sweet spot. Like Tucker, one of my business partners, he chose development because he wants to do 3 deals a year. And yeah, he'll make 2 million bucks per deal. That's what he chose. Some people choose doing 10 flips per year because they're quicker turns, easier cash flow management, and that's where their sweet spot is. For me, I've always been like, just do volume wholesale deals. I don't want to worry about market risk or interest rates or any of that bullshit. So you have to kind of match your risk appetite and your ambition to your deal structure and then stick with it. Like, I think for me, beyond wholesaling, if I was going to do something else eventually, which I plan on it, I'd be doing infill development, doing like 3 of those a year on top of the wholesaling because I don't want to flip. I don't want to, if I'm going to babysit contractors, I want to do it 3 times per year.
Yeah. Yeah. With big
And I want
swing.
the spread to be so big that I can hire a general contractor or I can partner with a builder, and still make a ton of money and not have to babysit contractors. Right. So, I think everyone just needs to make that decision for themselves and then stick to it. The guys are like, oh, I do some novations and I do some seller finance and I do some subject to and I do some section 8 and I Airbnb these 2 rentals and I flip these 2 homes. Like, you're going to want to take a hard right off a bridge, even if you're making money.
Dude, I do like 3 of them, and that's enough for me, bro. Like, rentals, flips, and wholesales is, like, more and I guess I will say the innovation, we will pull those off every once in a while, but even that, what are your thoughts on novations, honestly? Like, this
I
is
hate them, man.
secret time here. This is the
Yeah.
secret hour.
So the first side of the coin is I think there's a major ethical and morality point to it of really what you're doing is saying, hey, I'm going to create some fancy term called the equity protection program to convince you to sign this other piece of paper where I'm going to list your house for you and do the exact same thing that you would do, minus you're doing a few less pieces of paperwork.
Yeah,
That's what innovation is.
that is
Now,
what it
it
is.
does work for a lot of sellers. There are some sellers who don't want to deal with any of that. The photos, setting up the inspection, setting up the walkthroughs, dealing with the paperwork. It's a good fit for some people. So absolutely it should be a tool on your tool belt. But the way it's pitched and marketed as this new exit strategy, again,
Yeah.
it's the same bullshit scheme of seller finance and subject to, and hey, go wrap someone's pre-foreclosure mortgage and then wholesale it to a guy who's going to wholesale it again. I saw Pace post some things today that's like, just bought a deal and there's 3 bird dogs and 1 wholesaler. And it was like some wrap deal, which means someone found the deal, brought it to someone else, who brought it to someone else, who brought it to a wholesaler, who then sold it to Pace's team,
Holy
right? Like
shit.
that is not the seller didn't if there's enough to go around for 5 parties, that seller did not benefit from that transaction.
Yeah. It's
And
like
all that has to happen is
a
one person in that chain to fuck up and they're in default.
Yep. You gotta know what you're doing with these things, and I agree with the novation. I think they get pitched the wrong way, and we do them when it does make sense, and, like, for example, we have one right now where the lady has a buried oil tank, and we're literally paying to remove it to the tune of 25,000, which she doesn't have. So, like, that does make some sense in her situation, but I see a lot of guys, they'll, like, sneak it into their contract, and like, the seller won't even know what's going on, and then next thing you know, they see their house on Zillow for, like, 100K more than they agreed, and they're pissed.
Yeah, I mean, I would
It's
be
like, "Oh, well,
pissed.
read the contract. I have the ability to like, it's like, what the fuck? Just tell the lady what you're doing and you won't have any issues. It's crazy. Well, as we wrap the show up, man, what are you seeing now from like, what marketing channels are you guys, crushing? And besides cold calling, because we already know that's, proven and that's a great channel. That'll never go away. And that TCPA thing that came out.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
so I caution people with that, like,
Yeah. What
the
are your
use
thoughts on that? I did see that come out
mhm.
a couple weeks ago, and I feel like that's really going to be a big benefit to people.
So, the TCPA is all case law, so, like, can't extrapolate that. If you guys don't know, there was a fast home offer case in Arizona with a serial litigant that sued them for, violation of telemarketing, and they won. The judge ruled that which honestly is how the law is written. The judge ruled the right direction, I believe, which is that home buying activity is not solicitation, it's not telemarketing because you're offering to purchase. Now, issue with this is it's all case law. So tomorrow, another ruling could come out in Utah or Nevada that says the opposite. So
Mm,
you cannot just take that ruling and start calling the DNC list and texting the DNC list. You can't. You're gonna put yourself in a bad spot. But if there's 30 of those that stack up back to back to back, it's
yeah.
gonna be a very good argument for attorneys to make for their clients if they do get in hot water of, hey, there's all this case law saying that this is how the law should read.
Yeah.
So does it help? Yes. Will it help attorneys fight some cases? Yes. Is it the end all be all that everyone like I saw a couple of people go, the DNC list is dead. Start making your dials. Not true. Nowhere near true.
Yeah. I figured it wouldn't be that easy.
Yeah, but marketing channels wise, cold calling the right way, finally scrub state and federal DNC, use the right dialers, use the right data, call the right times a day. If you're going to record someone, tell them you're going to record the call. Right, just do the basics.
Yeah. That
Mail, I think targeted direct mail works very well. If you can be consistent with it, you have the budget. I think pay per click's in an interesting space. There's a lot of spam that comes through pay per click sites now and scammers and weird stuff, but I think you can still do well with pay per click if
yeah.
you're really good at sales and you really treat it aggressively. And those are the main three. Like I think pay per lead is not a good lead
Oh,
generation source to
I
build a
hated it.
business on.
Yeah.
Radio, TV, very hit and miss. SMS, don't recommend it. I don't think there's a way you can do it compliantly, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, cold calling, targeted direct mail, and by target, I don't mean don't mail every high equity owner in your county. Be a little thought out with it, and then pay per click, I think, still work.
Dude, it's so funny you brought up the pay. I agree with you, by the way, on those channels, but you've seen it too, the come and go of these pay per lead. I remember when property leads came out, this was probably 2022. And I remember every like 8 leads we would get at a great price, like we would buy the house because it was like straight organic, like SEO lead, good quality. And then I knew in the back of my head, I'm like, this is not gonna fucking last. This is either gonna the leads are either gonna take a shit or the cost is gonna go up. And both of that fucking happened. And I always say now, like pay per lead is basically someone who's not willing to either learn Google
I
Ads
agree.
or pay the Google Ads fee.
Yeah.
You're paying the stupid tax of PPL and they're letting someone else control their funnel, and half the leads are
Yep.
fucking garbage.
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, I mean, if you're a strategic buyer, you really want to buy a house in a certain zip code,
Yeah.
then turn it on, make offers. But like if you're trying to run a scaled operation
No.
and do deals every month,
Yeah, you end up disputing half the leads and you're spending your whole day like trying to get a $200 credit. I'll just say names on here because I don't give a fuck. There was one, need to sell my house fast. I had an affiliate account with them that I didn't even know about. And some crazy fuck like had my link and ran up like 300 leads that like came through me. I didn't even fucking know what the hell was going on. I had like $9,000 in affiliates commissions just sitting in my account and I didn't even know about it. And I emailed them and I'm like, can you just like give this money to me? And they're like, yeah, sure. If you want to spend it on leads, I was like, no, I don't like your lead.
give me the money. Yeah.
So they gave me the money, and then ironically, we did a deal through that, and I think we made 10,000. So I basically made like the same amount of money off affiliate commissions before it got huge. But it was just the point is the channel's not great, so I wouldn't recommend EPL as something that you're going to rely on. I think calling is consistent, mailing is consistent. Google, like you said, if done right, can be consistent if you have a big sack. I'll tell you what we're doing right now. I think I've mentioned this. So we're running YouTube ads for sellers, and that's been working well.
Yeah.
Very
And I think anywhere you can go for a while, it's not talked about by gurus. You can
yeah.
get a good ROI
Yep.
when the guru train comes, and there'll be a YouTube ads for real estate investors out there. And the ad cost gets too high, the leads get diluted, and it's the same game with paid media. So I mean, that's why I like those core three of pay per SEO, pay per click go together. Pay per click
Yeah,
SEO,
yeah. Search.
digital media, search media, direct mail, and cold calling. Like if you can always have those three going, you can
Yeah.
always add on the ones that come and go. If texting is compliant, if YouTube ads, Facebook ads when it works. So those are kind of again hit and miss, but across the country. But those are my big three.
I agree, and I hope I don't see a YouTube ads for real estate investors course coming soon. Because right now we're getting in Seattle, bro, leads for like $100 off YouTube, which is pretty crazy. But, listen, as we wrap the show up, talk a little bit about Easy Button REI. What do you guys do? Who are you for? And, if people are interested in that, we'll definitely have a link for them to check that out if they wanna,
Yeah, Easy Button Real Estate, easybuttonrealestate.com. We are a growth engine for investors and agents. Where we combine lead generation exclusive to you with conversion coaching. You get a one-on-one conversion coach that's ran a $2 million sales team or real estate operation to help you convert at a high clip plus the leads to grow. It's called the Deal Engine, and it's easybuttonrealestate.com. If you just want some skip tracing, you can check out easybuttonskiptrace.com. We by far have the best data table, and we brought it down to a price that makes sense for everyone. And I'm going to give Greg here some custom links, so he can post them below for you guys with some discounts.
beautiful. We'll put that in the show notes. And, Cole, buddy, if people wanna follow you online, what is your IG handle?
I'm at Cole Ruud-Johnson on every platform, very active. So reach out.
At that. Follow this guy. He's got good stuff. I learned the return on brain damage thing through his Instagram the other day. I never even thought of that. Well, Cole, buddy, always a pleasure having you on the show here. Sure we'll stay in touch and hope you have a good day, bro.
Thanks for having me.